guys, today I'm bringing you another 10 looks 1 palette video. It's been such a long time since I've done one of these, but to be fair, they take forever to make, so I'm very picky with the palettes that I choose to do it with. But today I did do 10 looks with the Worldie palette by Plouise, so I want to show you all of the looks. One thing I just quickly want to mention, but you know how there's like a little thing here that's supposed to go on a palette? Yeah, this thing fell off, so maybe not glued on very well, but the rest of the palette is really nice quality. So I will give you a review of the palette after you have seen all of the looks. If you just want to see the review, I will have timestamps and all that stuff so you can kind of jump around and, you know, see what it is that you want to look for. So I think we should just go ahead and get into it. I do want to just mention one thing though, is that I did pull in some other things to go along with these looks, because this palette only has 3 very dark shimmers. So the shimmers in here are this one, and this one. So we have a blue, a green, and then a kind of, I don't even know what I would call that shade. It's like a taupe shimmer, I guess. But all of them are extremely dark. And personally, I'm not someone who likes to do all matte eye looks because my eyes tend to water a lot, like right in the inner portion here on my lid. And if I do an all matte eye look, it's just immediately ruined. So I really don't like having mattes like on my lid. It's just not really my kind of thing. So I did feel the need to pull in other things. If you wanted to recreate any of these looks, please don't feel like you need to have exactly what I used. Just kind of, I don't know, I feel like with looks like this, take inspiration with the crease colors, because I did use, you know, all the mattes in every single look, and for the most part I only used one shimmer on my lid. So if you wanted to recreate something similar, do the same in the crease and then kind of use your own imagination and put whatever it is that you feel like would suit you on the lid, depending on maybe what you're wearing for the day, maybe, I don't know, just whatever it is that you feel like. Don't feel like you need to use what I am, and that goes for all of the tutorials that I do. I mean, I just want these to be inspiration for you. I don't want them to be like necessarily tutorials that you're going to follow to a T, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of use what it is that you want to use along with maybe the techniques and certain colors that I use, and take that as inspiration. So let's just go ahead and get into all of the looks. I'm really excited to show you all of them. I tried to make them all very fall inspired, so I hope you enjoy. All right, let's go. Grab a drink, grab a snack if you haven't already, because you are in for a long one. So this is going to be the first look we do. It is an all matte look, which is the only one that I'm doing in this video. So I'm going to start by priming with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base. This is the eyeshadow primer that I'll be using for all of the looks, and I just really like how my shadows go on top of this. I also never set my eyeshadow primer, just wanted to kind of mention that in the beginning of the video, just in case anybody had any questions about it. So let's go ahead and start with the shadows. For the crease, I'm going in with the purple, which is called First Class. I really love the tone of this purple. It's such a beautiful purple, and I feel like it goes so well with the rest of the colors in this palette. So as you can see, not doing anything fancy at all. I'm just taking this in my crease, blending it out, as well as taking it underneath my eye. So it's just going to be a very cohesive all around the eye color scheme. To deepen this up, I'm going in with Down Under, which is the warm tone brown in this palette. I feel like these two colors just go super well together, and honestly, I'm so impressed by all of the dark mattes in this, and you will see that in the looks that I'm doing. So you can see I'm just doing the same thing with the brown that I did with the purple. I'm just keeping this brown a little bit lower down and just using this to add some depth to the look. I'm then taking what's left in my Plouise base. This was the last little bit I was able to squirt out, and I'm using this to do a half cut crease with. Obviously, if you're going to use mattes on your lid, you're going to want to have a tacky base to put them down on, and also probably want to have some kind of a cut crease down if you're going to be using contrasting shades from what is in your crease. This way you won't have any problems with it maybe getting muddy or the shadows not sticking properly, so it's just a good way to do that. Obviously, cut creases are very personal, and you just have to do what kind of works for your eye shape. And the first shadow to go on my lid is going to be this beautiful green called Baggage. I love this color so much, so I'm just going to pack this very heavily onto my eyelid. You can see it's going on very pigmented. It does kind of not sheer out, but it gets a little bit less pigmented the more you kind of work on it and build it up. It's almost like it oxidizes a little bit and gets darker, but it's still a beautiful shade. So I'm putting this in the first third or so of my lid. And to connect the green with the purple, I'm going into Sky High, which is this beautiful primary blue. I love this color so much. So you can see I'm just putting this right in between where my outer corner shade is and the green, just so I can kind of get a good transition between them. And I personally just love the combination between purple, green, and blue. I think it just makes for such a beautiful, whatever it is that you do with those colors, they just work so well together. I'm going back into that green, and I'm just putting that on the lower portion of my lower lash line, trying not to really blend it into the purple because they're not going to make for the best blend. but I wanted to wrap this around in my inner corner because I am going to put a shimmer right in my inner corner, and I just felt like this is going to really help that pop. But basically this is the eyeshadow look all done, so I'm finishing off my eyes off camera, and then we're going to go ahead and do that inner corner highlight. So I'm going to take my Odens Solmåne highlighting palette, and I'm going to take the shade that I have on my face, which is the one in the bottom right. Just going to pop that in the inner corner, and this is a beautiful kind of yellow glittery highlighter, and that's going to be the end of the look. If you want to know what I'm wearing in all of these looks, I will try to list it down in my description box. I probably won't be able to link it because I only have so much room, but I will at least write down the stuff that I am wearing if you are curious. I really do like how this came together though, and I'm excited to show you some more looks. I tried to make all of these kind of fall inspired, so you will definitely see that in the upcoming looks as well. So let's go into look number 2, which is this one right here. A very, very dark, grungy green smoky eye. I'm super excited. I love doing smoky eyes. For my crease, I'm going into the shade called the Alps, and I'm just gonna, like I said, put this into my crease. This is going to be a very, very easy look. So I'm just building this up to see just how pigmented and intense I'm able to get this. I'm also taking this underneath my eye. I'm keeping the shape of this fairly round, but of course, if you wanted to wing it out or do anything else, you could absolutely do that. But the shade did take a little bit of building up, but I feel like the tone of this green is very, very unique. I don't think I have a matte like this in my collection. Once I'm done with the crease, I'm going in with some glitter primer. This is my NYX glitter primer, and I'm just going to pat that all over my lid where I want the shimmer to be. And I'm grabbing the dark green shimmer in the palette called Global, and this is just going to go all over my lid. So I'm just using a flat brush to pack on as much of this color as possible. And once I've gotten it where I want it to be, I'm using the tip of my brush to just help blend this into my crease. This is my MAC 242 brush. I love using this for doing smoky eyes like this because it can blend as well. But I wasn't really happy about the intensity of the shadow. I wanted it to be a little bit more sparkly, so I'm going in with a little bit more after I sprayed my brush, and I feel like that really helped. Sometimes you need a glitter primer, and sometimes you need to just wet your shadows. It really just depends on the formula. For my inner corner, I am going into this matte orange. I wanted to see what it would look like on its own, but my intention was definitely to layer something over the top of it, but I just wanted to see what it would look like on its own first. So I do think this looks kind of cool, but I'm just more of a shimmer in the inner corner kind of person anyway, so I just couldn't help myself. I'm going into some of my Shine by SD shadows, and you will see my little collection that I have here. I actually have some more coming that I'm really excited about. So it's a tough choice because I had so many nice ones that I wanted to use, but I decided on the one called Join Me, which is a duochrome, and I'm spraying my brush and just popping that right over that orange just so I could really brighten this up. And I think that the combination between the orange and the green is quite unique and really fun. So just finishing off my eyes and everything else off camera, this is the completed look. I really like it. It's very dark, it's very grungy, it's very me. I just love very, very dark eyeshadows on myself. I just feel like it really makes my eyes look big, and I love that. So let's go ahead and do another look. So we are on to look number 3. I hope you are liking the look so far. And this next look is probably the only one in this video that I would say isn't very fall inspired, but I just really wanted to play with these blues because they're so beautiful. I'm starting by taking the shade Worldie, which is the name of the palette, and I'm going to put this into my crease. Again, nothing too fancy. I'm just taking this from the inner corner to the outer corner of my eye, as well as on my lower lash line. I'm trying to keep most of these looks pretty simple, or at least like easy enough that I feel like most people could recreate them. So to deepen this up, I'm going into the other blue shade here. This is the one called Sky High, and I'm going to use that to deepen everything up. I'm first patting it on in the outer corner of my eye, trying to build this up as much as I am able to. I'm probably using my Reference number 13 brush in all of these looks if you are curious, because it is my absolute favorite. Taking this under my eye as well. This is just a very basic crease with a transition shade as well as a deepening shade. So that's going to be it for the crease shades. Next up, I'm going to go into one of my Clionadh shadows. This is in the shade Translucency. I am, of course, putting down some glitter primer first, and then I'm going to go in with the shadow over the top. But this shadow is so trippy because when you look at it in the pan, it looks pink, but then when you put it on the eyes, you will see now how blue it looks. Like, you can't really even see the pink shift in it because it just looks blue. It's super, super cool. I really like this shadow. And just in general, like, Clionadh shadows are some of my absolute favorites in my collection, so you will definitely see me use more of these in this video. So I'm just taking this all over my lid as well as wrapping it down to my inner corner because I just wanted it to be a very, very cohesive look all the way around. I'm then going to go in with a little bit more of that blue in the outer corner just to make sure that everything is nice and blended. And that's going to be it for the shadows. So next up, I'm taking a neon liner from JD Glow. I think this is actually a pastel liner. But I'm going to use this to line my upper lash line. I don't think I'm making this into a wing. It's just going to be kind of a thick line here. I just wanted to incorporate a little bit more color, and I felt like it would just kind of go with my headband and my earrings and everything else that I was wearing. I probably could have gone in with another coat because I feel like it wasn't really that opaque. They do take a little bit of building up, but they are absolutely beautiful. I really do like the liners from JD Glow. But this is the look all done. So as you can see, more of a summery look if anything, but I just wanted to see what I could do if I were to do a more soft look. So this is definitely the softest look that you will see in this video, but it's still blue and I love blue and I wanted to play with the blue, so that's what I did. So let's go ahead and get into look number 4. So this is a look that we're going to be doing, again, very fall inspired as you can tell, and I don't think I pulled in anything else in this look other than what was in the palette. So I'm going to start off with the green shade called Big Apple, and that's going to go in the front portion of my crease. This is going to be a multicolored crease, which I love doing. So just putting this in the first half or so of my crease and making sure that I'm building it up and blending it out. For the outer portion, I'm grabbing the orange matte, and that's going to go in the outer half of my crease, as well as kind of taking it underneath my eye as well. And I am going to deepen this up with something else, so I made sure to not really blend it too much into that green because I didn't want anything to get muddy. I'm then going into Down Under, which is going to be my deepening shade. So I'm starting in the outer corner of my eye, just really building this up the way that I want it to be and making sure that the shape is right. And then I'm gently blending it into that orange, as well as taking it underneath my eye, making sure that that orange is still showing all the way around. And honestly, this brown is one of my favorite shades in this palette, which probably sounds crazy. And just for a little pop on the lower lash line, I'm going into the lime green matte, and I'm popping that right where I don't have any color left. And I feel like this really just brightened everything up, and it just made it a little bit unexpected, and I really like that. For my lid shade, I'm taking the shade Destination. I'm going to spray that because I felt like this formula did not need a glitter primer because it is absolutely beautiful on its own. This is definitely different than the green and the blue shimmer. This is way more foiled and metallic, and I love that. So you can see I'm just putting this all over my lid and blending it into both my crease and the outer corner shade. I really like the color of this shade. I feel like it just goes very nicely with a lot of the mattes in this palette. And I would like to apologize because I said in the beginning I didn't think I pulled in anything else, but it appears that I did. This is Ochre from Clionadh. I'm taking that in the inner portion of my crease as well as underneath my eye and my lower lash line, just because I really wanted an extra pop of something lighter, because this palette doesn't really have any light shimmers. So I just, for me and my makeup preferences, I just felt like I needed to bring in, you know, just some lighter shimmers to tie it all together. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can use a highlighter or whatever else you have if that is what you like. I'm just doing the finishing touches off camera, and this is the completed look. I really like this look. I think this is one of my favorites that I did in this video because the color combination is just so fun and so fall. Also, let me know if you like seeing the completed look before I actually start the look, because I haven't done that in my other 10 look videos, but I have gotten some requests to do so, just so you can kind of see what you're in for before we start the look. So let me know how you feel about that. Now let's move into look number 5. I did wear this look in one of my videos, so some of you may have seen it already. Actually, that kind of goes for a lot of these looks because it took me a while to get this video together. But this is just a very fall-inspired halo eye. I'm going to start by taking the shade Sunset, which is the darker orange in this palette. And this is going to go in my crease. This is going to be my transition shade. When I do halo eyes, I like to keep the shape of my eye shape kind of round, or the shape of my shadows, I should say, because I just feel like it looks a little bit better that way. I also take the shadow up a little bit higher, like right in the middle of my lid, more than I usually do. And to deepen it up, I'm taking the other brown this time. This one is called Manchester, and this is going to go in the outer portion of my lid as well as the inner portion to create that halo effect. And I'm making sure to leave enough room for a shimmer shadow just right in the middle. But this shadow also performed like a dream. I couldn't really see that much of a difference between this one and the other brown, to be completely honest, but they both performed beautifully. For my halo, I'm taking another one of my Shine by SD shadows. This one is called Loved. I'm spraying that with some Fix Plus and just plopping that right in the middle of my lid. And this is such a beautiful shadow. You will really see the shift in this when you look at the close-ups, because you can't really see it when I'm just putting it on now, but this is such a cool duochrome shade. I really love it. So once I've placed this down where I want it to be, I'm going to go back in with my fluffy brush and just make sure that the edges with the brown is looking nice. And looking back at this, I'm starting to wonder why I don't do halo eyes more often, because I honestly really like them on myself. It's just like, sometimes I just forget, and they're also just not my favorites to do, but I do like how they look. For my lower lash line, I'm going in with the shade called the Alps, which I did use in my second look, I think, as my transition shade. I'm just going to really blow this out underneath my eye. Honestly, main reason I chose this shade is because it was matching my t-shirt. That's how I create my looks, but I do really like how this turned out. So finishing touches off camera, and this is what the look looks like. So for the inner corner, I'm going to go in with one of my Bitter Lace Beauty highlighters. This is my favorite from them. It's in the shade Electric. You can use my code Annette15, I think it is, for 15% off of Bitter Lace Beauty. Would highly recommend it. I think their products are amazing. So I'm just popping that in the inner corner of my eye just to get a little bit of sparkle in there because I felt like we didn't have enough. Also taking this on my face, and it's just so beautiful. So that is the end of the look. I really like how fall this is as well. Fall is by far my favorite season, especially living in Vegas. The weather here is just so perfect this time of the year. Anyway, can we just appreciate that lid shade now? And you can really see like the shift in it. It's so beautiful. I think that it layered over that brown so nicely too. I really like this look. Now we are officially halfway there. Let's move into look number 6. Wait until you see this lid shade when I put this on. It's so stunning. Starting off by taking the purple matte, and I'm going to put that in the front portion of my crease. This is also going to be a multi-crease kind of look. Just taking that in the first half or so of my crease, just building it up like I do and making sure it's nice and blended out before I go in with my second shade. Next up, going into the shade Rodeo Dry, which I think is my first time using it in this video. That's going to go in the outer half of my crease, and you can see now when I'm blending this blue into that purple that it creates a bit of a darker purple, and it just, I don't know, it made for a really, really nice transition. I really liked how that ended up looking. But me being me, I need some depth, so I'm going to go into San Francisco, which is the dark blue in this palette. This is probably my favorite color in this eyeshadow palette because it just performs so well. So I'm taking it in the outer corner of my eye. As you can see, I'm just shook at how good this color is because it just performs like a dream. So I'm just building this up as my deepening shade, blending it into basically everything surrounding it, leaving my lower lash line blank because I do want to use some green there. So I'm taking the shade Big Apple and I'm basically just smoking this out underneath my eye. And this is also blending really nicely into the shades that I have in the outer corner because green and blue is next to each other on the color wheel, so it just works out very well. But the star of the show in this look is definitely the shadow from Terra Moon. It's called Terra Borealis. I'm spraying that with some Fix Plus and just popping that all over my lid. And this is so just glass looking and shiny, and I love it. I don't even have words, honestly, because this is such a beautiful, beautiful shade, and I feel like it would go with basically everything you put it next to because it's just going to kind of transform and work with whatever you have in your crease. So that is basically the look all done. I'm going to finish off camera, and that is the completed look. I do want to take a little bit of this Skywalker highlighter from Kaleidos and put that in my inner corner because I always need a little bit of a pop in the inner corner, and I think that this really, really tied everything together. I think this look turned out so good. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I still really like how this look turned out. And I just can't get over how beautiful that lid shade is. It's just so stunning. So these are the close-ups. You can really see the shift in that shadow now. Oh, it just looks so pretty. Not sure if I would call this a fall look, but I feel like with it being so dark and just, I don't know, the colors in it still kind of remind me of fall. Let me know if you feel the same way. So look number 7, let's go. This is the look that we're doing, a very grungy, dark green smoky eye with a dark lipstick. Starting off by taking the shade that matches my shirt the closest. The shade is called Explore, and I think this is the first time using this. This is a very unique color as well. I feel like the undertone of this green is also something that I don't have in my collection. And we're back to doing a bit of a simpler eye. I'm just taking this all the way around my eye and my crease as well as my lower lash line, but I did want to wing this out just to get a little bit of a different shape because I feel like a lot of the other looks that I've done so far have been very round. Next up, to deepen it up, I'm going into the shade called Alps again. I really like the tone of this one as well. Like I said, I feel like so many of these are super unique, and I'm just using this as my deepening shade both in my crease as well as underneath my eye. I did have a little bit of fallout with these greens, nothing too crazy, and I was able to wipe them away for the most part, but I thought I would just mention it still. Just to finesse everything, going back in with that first transition shade and blending all the way around my eye to make sure that everything is nice and blended. And then next up, we're going to go in with some NYX glitter primer as usual, and I'm going to put that all over my lid pretty much where I want the shimmer shadow to be. I'm going to use two shimmers in this look. I'm going to use the green and the taupe. First off, I'm taking the green and I am spraying this, as you could see, because I just felt like this was the way to, for me at least, get the shadow to pop the most and to have the least amount of fallout. So this is going to go in the outer portion of my lid, and then for the inner portion, I'm going in with the shade called Destination, which was this kind of taupey. Is that what this shade is called? I don't know. It's a very unique grungy shade, but I am living for it. So this is going to go in the front portion of my lid. So this is a very, very dark look. I usually like to have something a little bit lighter in the front portion of my eye, but sometimes I like to just really go out there and do something very dark. Saying that though, I am pulling in a lighter shimmer, but this is going to go just in the front portion of my lower lash line. This is Pisces from Terra Moons. So I'm just going to put that right underneath my eye, just in the front portion of my lower lash line to get a little bit of an extra pop of color. Finishing touches off camera, and this is the completed look. So I really like how this turned out as well. I feel like all of these looks are just like so grungy and yummy, and maybe it's just me being gravitated towards the dark shades in this palette, but I just find that every single look that I do just has so much depth and richness to it, and I love that in my eyeshadows. Let's move into look number 8, and for this look we're going to do a very green look. Very, very green. And wait until you see this lid shade too. I'm having so much fun using some of my indie shadows to just spice up this palette a little bit. So first off, I'm taking the shade Baggage, and that is going to be my transition shade. I'm also going to take this underneath my eye. This is also going to be a very simple look to do. Not a lot of shadows, but still a lot of impact, and that is what I love in my eyeshadows. So just taking my time to really build this up, and this builds like a dream. And because I do want a little bit of extra depth, I'm going into the shade Big Apple, which is this beautiful green. I'm focusing this mostly in the outer corner of my eye. I'm not really taking it all the way through my crease. I just want all of the depth to be in the outer portion as well as underneath my eye. And for my lid shade, I'm going into my Dragon Prism 2 palette from Enchanted Luster Cosmetics. I have made a video with this. I will link that in the corner. I'm grabbing the 4th shade in the palette. I don't currently know what this one is called because the palette doesn't have any names, but I am going to spray that and put that all over my lid. And this is one of the most metallic eyeshadows that I think I have ever put on my eyeball, because look at that. Look at that shine. Look at that shift. Just look how beautiful this color is. I just can't. Like, I feel like if you're going to use a shade like this, you don't really need to be too fancy with, you know, your crease work, because that shadow is just going to speak for itself. And that's basically it for the shadow. So I'm finishing off. I am going to put on some highlighter though. This is Solar Sailor by Kaleidos. I've already put it on, but I need to put some in my inner corner just so we can get a little bit of brightness. And if you're wondering what else I did to finish off this look, I did do some liner on my top as well as in my waterline. And the liners that I used are both from Lethal. I have the green one in Equalize and the yellow one in Stereo, and I also paired it with a red lipstick, and I really like this look. I think that it just turned out so fun, especially with that green eyeliner. I don't know what it is, but I think that really just pulled it all together. And I don't usually play with like colorful eyeliners on my top lid, but maybe I need to do that more often because I really like how that turned out. Let's move into look number 9. So this is the look that we're doing. I actually wore this out for a date night with my husband and I really liked it. So I'm starting off by taking the shade Barrier Reef, which is a beautiful teal. That's going to go in my transition. I was trying to match my top when I did this look because this is what I wanted to wear out. I think I succeeded. Let me know what you think. I feel like I did a decent job with this. The shade did take a little bit of time to build up, but I did feel like the more I went in, the darker and more intense it got, which is nice. So to deepen this up, I'm going into the dark blue, which you know is my favorite shade in this palette. I'm using that as my deepening shade here. Again, I'm leaving my lower lash line blank for now, but I am going to, after I put this in my outer corner and pull it through my crease, I am going to take this underneath my eye as well, but just in the outer portion because I am going to use another shade to kind of help blend this out and just pull this look all together. So once I'm happy with how this is looking, I'm going to grab the purple matte in this palette, and that's going to go on my lower lash line. So I'm starting in the front portion where I don't have any shadow, and I'm kind of blending it outwards and underneath that blue. And I really like this color combination. I think purple and blue just go so well together, and I kind of feel like it's a bit of an underrated combo. I don't know. I don't see a lot of people doing it. And I also can't really think of a lot of palettes that have a matte blue and a matte purple in it, but maybe I'm wrong. Next up, taking some glitter primer. Of course, I'm going to put that all over my lid where I want the next shimmer to be. And for the shimmer shade, I'm using one from Clionadh. This one is in the shade Stencil. It's one of their multi-chromes. You can't really see like the multi-chromeness on camera. It's so beautiful. You really need to see these shadows in real life to understand the beauty of them, because beauty lights really don't do them justice, but just trust me when I say this is a stunning shimmer. So I'm just putting this all over my lid, leaving a little bit of room just in the outer corner, but for the most part this is going to go all over my lid. I'm blending it into my crease. I just want this to be a very seamless and easy look to do. I am going to use another shadow from Clionadh. This is Ray, and that's going to go in the inner corner of my eye. This is a, how would I explain this? An iridescent red? Is that really what this is? I'm not sure, but that's what it looks like on my eyes anyway. And I think that this just kind of brought in a little bit of something extra and unexpected, and I think this turned out really nice. I think I can honestly say that this is the only 10 look video where I have been very happy with all of the looks that I did, and I can definitely credit the palette for this, because that has definitely not been the case with all of the other videos that I've done 10 looks in. But I think that all of these looks, especially since I was able to play a little bit with some of the more unique shadows in my collection, I think that really added to, especially in my experience just using the palette, and also just bringing in some uniqueness to these looks. And just look at that lid shade, isn't that beautiful? Last look, you guys know I had to do it. I had to do one of my big wings. This is the look that you saw in the intro, but I just love these big wings. They're so fun to do. So I'm starting off this look by taking the shade Sunset, and I wanted this to be a very fall look as well. I feel like this is the exact same color as my hair. Now that I look back at it, it goes really well with my hair. Just gonna put this in my crease as well as underneath my eye. And if you've seen my big wing looks before, you know that I like to keep the shape of my shadow very round. I will leave my big hooded eye tutorial up in the corner if you do want to check that out, because I will be a little bit more thorough in how I do the wing part when I do that. Taking this under my eye as well, again trying to keep the shape in the outer corner quite round, but also blow the shade out quite a bit. To deepen this up a little bit, I'm going into the shade Down Under, which is this beautiful brown, and I'm just gonna take that a little bit lower down than where I put the transition shade, but I am going to build this up as much as I am able to, and you can just see how well this color builds, and it just works very, very well with that orange as well. Going back into the transition shade and just really making sure that this crease is as intense and blended as I'm able to get it before I do the wing part. So I'm grabbing my DHC liquid liner. This is my favorite, and I'm gonna do my huge wing. So I'm not gonna really try to explain too much what I'm doing, but if you've seen me do this before, you know that since I have hooded eyes, I can't just do regular wings. So for me, it's go big or go home, basically. So I'm doing my huge ass wings with my eyes open so that I can see where I need to place them. And then I basically connect them to the hood of my eye and just sort of fill in everything in between. I'm going to take some of my NYX glitter primer next, and I'm going to put that in the outer portion and kind of layer it over the wing part. And then I'm going to take the green shimmer and place that over where I put that glitter primer. I'm not trying to make this into a green wing, but I just want to make sure that the blend between the wing part and my shimmers on my lid is going to be nice, which is why I wanted to use a very dark shimmer to do so with. And I'm going back into my Enchanted Luster palette. This, like I said, is the Dragon Prism 2, and I'm taking the shade here, which is number 9. Again, I don't know what this is called. First going in with some glitter primer, and then I'm popping the shade right over the top of this. This looks a little bit similar to the color that I used previously, but this one is a little bit lighter, and it has a bit more of a, I guess I would say, a gold shift to it, but it is so stunning and metallic, and I'm so in love with this palette. The more I use it, the more I love it. So if you've been thinking about getting it, I think I can confidently say by now that I've used it a lot, that I do recommend it if this is something that you have been eyeing. Taking this a little bit underneath my eye as well, and then I'm going to take my Solar Sailor highlighter from Kaleidos again as my inner corner highlight. I just love having kind of a light yellow in my inner corner. I think it just suits so many different eye looks, and that's gonna be it for the look. I really like this look. I love my big wings, and I just think that whatever I put on my lips, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it really goes with the look. So here you can see the close-ups. Oh, I love that lid shade so much. I could swim in it. That's gonna be it for the looks. I think we should just go ahead and move into the review portion of the video. Alright, so all of the looks are done. I hope you at least like some of them. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm really happy with all of the looks I did in this video, and I think that they all turn out really well. But the reason that they turn out as good as they were is because I used this palette. I gotta be honest, I had a blast using this palette. I think that the matte formula in this is it's just spectacular. It is the kind of matte formula that you need to kind of build it up. It's not the kind of formula that like you put your brush to your eye and you get like bam pigmentation right away. You do have to go in quite a few times. That sound is really annoying. You do have to go in quite a few times to really get it to build, but it builds so beautifully. Like, it's just insane. Like, the dark colors in this are some of the best dark mattes that I have in my collection. The standout for me, definitely the dark blue. The dark browns are amazing as well. I just think that they did such a fantastic job really perfecting formulas that I know a lot of brands really struggle with. So I had a blast with this. The purple is really nice as well. I didn't use a lot of these very, very light mattes because I personally just don't really use light mattes regardless of the color really. It's just not really how I like to do my makeup. So I didn't dabble into those too much, but I mean, I would assume that, you know, they're fine because the rest of the palette is fine. The only colors that I felt like maybe didn't build as well as some others were these kind of like mid-tones blues up here. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints with this palette. I think that it's beautiful. Speaking of the shimmers, I think the shimmers are really nice. Like, they look really nice on the lid, but they're very kind of dry. They're dry and textured. And they also have quite a bit of fallout. So I did notice many times when I used the shimmers on my lid that during the day I would definitely have like fallout on my face, which is really, really annoying. So the best way that I found to prevent that from happening, even though it still kind of happened, was to use a glitter primer as well as spraying my brush when I applied it. And that's also kind of what made them look the best on the lid. So I'm not like the biggest fan of the shimmers, especially the blue and the green. The taupe one is a little bit of a different formula, so I like that one a little bit more, but this one in particular, the green one as well as the blue one, they both have a black base. So I don't know if it's the black base that's kind of like causing the fallout, because I find that to be the case with a lot of shadows that do have a black base that's very glittery, is that I do get fallout on my face. But I mean, other than that, at least there's only 2 of them in this palette and they're still fine. Like, I'm still going to use them, but I probably wouldn't use them if I was, you know, doing my makeup in the morning and then leaving my house the whole day. I probably would not be wearing any of those 2 shimmers because I would just be so worried that I would just have blue powder all over my face during the day. So other than that, I mean, I had such a good time with this palette. I think this palette is absolutely worth the money. I hate the packaging with a passion, but just, I hate bulky packaging in general, so I'm sure that's just like a me thing. And also, as a YouTuber, it's really annoying to like hold this palette up to like try to show what I'm doing because it's just so big and so heavy. But I think for people who like to have stuff like this as like a collector's item or like a display piece, I think this is amazing. I do appreciate the thought that goes into the packaging of them. It's just not really like my favorite, you know? So I think that's all I have to say. I don't really have anything else to add to this except that I love this palette. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you want to see the rest of the 10 look videos that I have, here's my playlist. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and hopefully I will see you all in my next video. Bye.